Main reason we're here today is to look at a couple of pictures of my granddaughters. So they're coming up now, right here. There you go. Yeah. How about that? Yeah. And they're in the house here today, too. I don't want to call them out, but we're going to see how much they make. How much they make it through this, you know. What's he doing up there, and why doesn't he stop talking? That's what they're thinking, but I'll be doing more of that now. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today, which is just important to me, is our teaching, the science of mind and spirit. In this place, Mile High Church, which has meant so much to me. So I want to touch on that a bit today, and it's so good to see you all here at the perfect time. So, that song that Jennifer just sang so beautifully, I Will Step Aside. I wrote that song when I was first learning about this teaching. I was in class called Science of Mind 1 with Dr. Roger, and just getting an idea of what this place was about, and he really leaned into a guy named Ralph Waldo Emerson. Some of you might have heard of him. That was one of those people you were supposed to read in high school, and he really got into what an influence that Emerson was on our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. And so I started reading Emerson and started looking up Emerson quotes and just tuning into it. And the one that stuck with me the most in the beginning, and you've heard this before, you've heard me say it before, but I want to jump here. It's from his essay called Spiritual Laws. And he says, let us acquiesce. Let us take our bloated nothingness out of the path of the divine circuits. Let us unlearn our wisdom of the world, and let us lie low in the Lord's power and learn that truth alone makes rich and great. That just stuck with me. Just such a beautiful thought, and it really hit me deep. And being a songwriter, I really struggled with getting something to rhyme with bloated nothingness. It just, I don't know, it didn't roll off the tongue. So what I did was I just came up with, I will step aside and let your love move through me. And that's what the song is about, is just getting out of the way and allowing the deeper aspects of ourselves to come through and inform our thinking. And really, that's what our teaching is about, that particular thought right there from Emerson, is that we are connected with something so amazing, so beautiful, beyond our wildest dreams. And we need to get our stuff out of the way so that can resonate through it, so we can hear ourselves, the deeper aspect of ourselves. And so that's what today is about, those divine circuits and getting in touch with the divine circuits. Because we've all got our stuff, don't we? Anybody here doesn't have stuff? So we got our stuff that gets in the way, and what we gather here for is on Sunday is to let go of that stuff, leave it at the door, and to go deeper and to connect with those divine circuits. I've been rereading one of Ernest Holmes' book that I really love. It's called This Thing Called You. It's a smaller book, and I just love the way he takes some giant concepts and brings them down into a very personal level. Ernest Holmes grew up in the Northeast in Maine. He was one of 9 sons. Think about that for a minute. And so he was there in the early 1900s, and he never graduated from high school, our founder. Didn't have a lot of numbers or a lot of initials after his name. He grew spiritually because he was a voracious reader, and he wrote from that spot of the deep well that he'd gained from his reading. And Emerson was certainly one of the most influential people on Ernest Holmes. When it was time for Ernest Holmes to leave home, he went and visited one of his brothers, and his brother had Emerson's essays in his bookshelf, and Holmes started reading those, things about spiritual laws and nature, circles, these great essays about the relationship between God and man and these huge, huge concepts. And Holmes finally came to realize he's talking about me. He's talking about me. And that's what this thing called You is about. This book is just about this connection, this big idea that we have here about the Creator who brought all things into being and who is alive now. He's alive in us, each of us. That's the good news that we celebrate here every Sunday. And so I've got some things from this thing called You that I wanted us to look at today. I wanted to start with these things, and as we put them up, I want you to remember that he's talking about you, okay? This is about you. Your soul belongs to the universe. Your mind is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment. There is something within you beyond all doubt and fear, something which has never been limited by your acts or destroyed by your feeling. This is the only something that can make you whole. I love those thoughts. And now's the perfect time to do this work. The present moment is our point of connection with the one mind. Something I was reading this week from Eckhart Tolle. He said, recognize deeply that the present moment is all you have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. Make the now the primary focus of your life. Ernest Holmes, towards the end of his life, said, I think our teaching is going to be perfect for the 21st century. And I think it is. There's a lot of information coming at us. And I think that we can connect with this teaching. And as I move into the next chapter of my experience, I've been thinking a lot about how do I keep the divine circuits open in me? I know that the next chapter for me is going to be good. I know that it is. And so how do I stay open to that? Get my stuff out of the way and allow that Spirit to move through me. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today and just celebrate with you is this place and this teaching. It's meant so much to so many of us. So I wanted to touch on some of the points that I think are the most important about this teaching and how it's come through for me. And the first thing is to trust your intuition. Intuition in our teaching is defined as a spiritual perception, an immediate knowing and knowledge of reality arising from spiritual sources. I love that. We teach about intuition in our classes. We focus on it. And all of us have felt it. I think everybody here in this room has felt at some time a really strong hit of intuition where you knew what the right thing was. You could feel it. One of the things we talk about is that intuition surpasses the intellect. It's bigger than the intellect. It's bigger than the things that we're thinking about. It comes from a spiritual source. And we know it. We can feel it in our gut. We talk about that gut feeling when we know. All of us have had it. So we're here to develop that intuition. That's a big part of our teaching. And all of us have had that feeling also of intuition coming through to us as a warning. Like, I don't know if that's a really good idea. Has anybody ever had that? But then, like me, you went ahead and did it anyways, right? And then we attract into our lives what is spiritually known as the cosmic 2x4, which comes to us and gives us a more clear idea of really what direction we should be headed in. Has anybody else experienced that? Okay. So one of the things that I think that is so important about our teaching is to really honor intuition, is to really bring that to the front of our teaching, in the front of our awareness, because we're being seduced by the drama of politics, tribalism, and there are so many narratives that are coming at us from different places that the truth can be hard to find. But at a deeper level, we know what it is. At a deeper level, we know what's true. And I think one of the things we celebrate here is to connect with something deeper, to slow ourselves down and connect. This is what Holmes said about intuition. There is an intuition within you which already knows that you are one with good and that your destiny is certain. And you must listen to this intuition, for it is the voice of God in you. Trust your intuition. And the next thing is about building our consciousness. We're in the consciousness business here. Build your consciousness in community. This community, the reason I think it's so important is this is a place where we can grow together, where we can learn together and we can grow our consciousness. One of the things that I am so thankful for this place is it gave me an open-hearted and an open-minded environment that encouraged me to think, taught me how to think, but didn't teach me what to think. And I think all of us have felt that connection here in the classes and in the services. Just an opportunity to go deeper and to experience the presence of Spirit in our lives. And as Emerson said, to get ourselves out of the path of the divine circuits and to grasp the greater aspects of ourselves. You know, for the last couple of years, I've been hanging out in here on Sunday mornings. First, we had the COVID thing where we would come in here on Sundays and we would stand in this room, and it was totally empty except for a light shining on us out there. And we would give our talks, and it's so good to be back together, isn't it? And I just love being in this room and with the people that are here and hanging out afterwards and talking. And I think one of the great dangers of spiritual communities now that we're experiencing is how politics seeps into what we're doing. And I think it's so important that this place is a safe haven from all that, because we want to go deeper than that. We want to go deeper than that here. We don't want to settle for the cheap drama of politics. We want to be connected with Spirit. And that's what's alive in this place right now. There is a vision that we have. Oneness revealed. A world of love, peace, and abundance for all. For all people. So I think you might have heard that there's a election coming up next year. They haven't put much emphasis on it yet. But there is so much political drama that's going to be coming at us. So much tribalism going to be coming at us. And there are so many things for us that are grabbing towards our attention. You know, we have data, we have fake news, we've got robots, we've got conspiracy theories, and now we're going to have artificial intelligence. And all these are reaching for our consciousness. And that's why this place is so important as a place to ground ourselves. Because what we're teaching about here is bigger than politics. One of the things that I love is that the story that's in the Bible, I get the opportunity to teach the Bible here. It's one of the great joys that I have. And one of the things that, there's a story in there about Jesus, and I picture him at a press conference. You know how people are always shouting things from the back at a press conference? And so this is in the Gospel of Matthew, and somebody shouts out, "Tell us what you think. Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not? Tell us what you think. Should we be paying taxes to the emperor of Rome or not?" This is one of the Pharisees from Jesus' tribe. And he knew it was a trap. Because if he said, "No, you shouldn't pay taxes to the emperor," this was a pretty brutal time politically that Jesus was living in. We think it's tough now. Think of the time that he stepped into politically. So if he said, "No, don't pay your taxes," that wasn't going to be a good thing for him. And if he said, "Yes, I think we should pay our taxes to the Roman government," then there's a lot of people in his tribe that were going to be very disappointed about that, because they didn't like being a part of having the Romans over them. So this is what he said. "Show me the coin." "Show me the coin that you used to pay the tax." So they brought him the coin, and he says, "Whose face is on this?" "Well, that's Caesar's face. Caesar's the emperor." "All right." He gives him the coin back, and he said, "Let's give to Caesar, the emperor, the things that are Caesar's, and let's give to God the things that are God's." What a brilliant answer for that. And I think what he was saying was The things that I'm teaching you are bigger than emperors and taxes and politics and all that. I'm teaching you how to be connected with God. I'm showing you how. And I think that's the opportunity that we have to remember as we move forward in the political time that we're in. That what we're teaching here, what we're working on here, is bigger than politics. It's more important. And there's a thing that I love that I say in my parenting classes all the time. There's a difference between acceptance and approval. There's a difference between acceptance and approval. It's very important when you're raising children, by the way. But it's important for coming to a place like this and realizing I might not approve of the person's politics who's sitting next to me, but they're accepted here, just like me. And it would be important for us to remember this story as we move forward. To do our work, to be good citizens, to be informed citizenry, but to be open to all people in this place. Does that sound like a good idea? Another thing we want to do is to be of service. As I step out of active duty here in 1 degree, I'm going to be moving into the Sacred Earth Ministry with Dr. Patty. And I believe that taking care of our sacred earth is not a political thing, but it's a spiritual thing. And so I'm so glad that our church has an initiative about sacred earth. And so we'll be moving into that even bigger. And I love that. Love that opportunity to serve. And, you know, I started out as a volunteer. Most of the people who come to this place find a place to volunteer. And I started out as a Sunday school volunteer. When our second son was born, Gabe, Stephanie stayed home with him for a while, and Jesse and I would come to church. And Jesse would go to the toddler room, and I learned how to become a Sunday school teacher. And it was great. That's how I wound up here today. Who knew? But but volunteering is really a way to connect with this community. So if you're new here, I highly encourage you to find a place to help. Find a place to help out, and you will go deeper in this teaching when you become a person who is of service in the world. And there's plenty of work to do. Just as a show of hands, how many have ever done anything with our youth ministry here? Can I get your hands up? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. We still have openings. The last thing I want to do is to tell you to be grateful, because this is a message for me. I'm very grateful today. My last thing is about gratitude, and I want to thank some people. And if I interrupt myself in the middle and start telling a joke about a talking dog, it's because I'm just trying to center myself. But I want to say that I'm grateful. I want to begin with Stephanie over there. She's the biggest rock in the jar, and I want to thank for her. Over there with the grandkids, who would have thunk it? So we had a thing on the wall of our house for a long time that finally I think decomposed, but it was something called 21 Suggestions for Success by H. Jackson Brown Jr. Number 1 was marry the right person. This one decision will determine 90% of your happiness or misery. And I think that's a good idea. And so I was lucky enough 45 years ago to marry the right person. And thank you for hanging with me. Thank you. She never planned to be a minister's wife, but here we are. So, and I'm also grateful for our sons, Jesse and Gabe, who continue to inspire me and make me laugh and push me to do things like retire. And the thing that's cool about them is, if I asked them, they would say, both of them, I don't know if we believe any of that stuff that you talk about in church. But that's cool because they're living it, and which is much better than just believing it. And so they're living it, and both of them married the right person too. So I am very thankful for Jesse and Gail. Yeah. And one of the things you might have noticed, I kind of like sports, and so I like being on teams, and I want to thank the teams that I've been lucky enough to be included in. One of them is when Dr. Roger asked me to be on the ministerial team. You know, he had set the bar pretty high with the other folks. He had Reverend Lloyd and Reverend Raz, Reverend Cynthia, and Dr. Marjorie and Dr. Patty. And so, it was august group to join in with, but they became some of my best friends and certainly incredible teachers for me as I've learned how to do this gig. And I'm so thankful to them for that. And like I said earlier, I started as a volunteer here, and then Dr. Roger left to go to California for a while, and I kind of stepped in to be the junior church coordinator, part-time gig, and really started getting into the youth ministry thing, and also working around the office, like just doing marketing stuff and writing things, and just becoming more involved. And then when Dr. Roger came back from California in '93, he said, well, I'd like to have you on the staff. And the only position that was open officially was as Dr. Marjorie's assistant. And so those of you who remember Dr. Marjorie, if there was anybody who didn't need an assistant, it was her. She's probably the most efficient and committed person that I've ever met. And if there's any person who wasn't qualified to be her assistant, it was definitely me. But they wanted me on the team, so that's the gig that I got. She didn't make me do much. But one day when I was in there talking to her, she said, have you ever thought about being a minister? Have you ever thought about ministerial school? And I said, no, not at all. That's like the last thing that I would want to do is go to ministerial school and be a minister. I see how hard you people work, and I really want no part of that. She said, well, the applications are due in a couple of days. And I said, I appreciate you thinking of me. I really do, but there's no way. And so the next day I was in my little office, and this manila envelope comes sliding under the door with a sticky note on it that said, fill this out. And so that's why I'm here, Dr. Marjorie. So I'm thankful to her and all the ministers along the way, and to Josh and Michelle for being a part of it too. And the music team, I'm thankful to Dr. Kent. He's not here today, or I would certainly be throwing him under the bus. But one of the things I always say about Dr. Kent is if he could sing, none of us would be here, the rest of the musicians. He would be doing all that. But he gave me so many opportunities, and I'm so thankful for him. And also Jennifer and Tom gave me some great lessons in musical theater and put me into some very uncomfortable positions. And I didn't really know that I would be like dressing up like Elvis, or wearing a coconut bra, or wearing a reindeer onesie. I didn't know that was part of the job description, but I'm thankful to them for doing all that. Been an honor, and I'm thankful to Nathan and Rama and the production team and all the people who work here on production. Such a great team to be a part of. So I'm thankful for that. And the final thing is youth ministry. I'm thankful to all the people who contributed to this. Reverend Michelle Scavetta, been my personal assistant for over 13 years with the youth ministry and has done so much of the heavy lifting. Kathy Cates and Nadine Cox, people who started out with me when I got this thing going. So many people who've contributed, all the people that contributed to the different camps as we've gone forward. And now Stacy Butters and Saul Fluell are doing such an amazing job, and it's made it easier for me to let go of it, knowing that it's in such good hands. So I'm thankful to them, thankful for being on this youth ministry team for so long, because I love it. I love it, working with kids. And I'm thankful. One of the great dreams that I had here for years and years was that we would have a preschool. And we've got a great one. And it's been going for years, and it's had its ups and downs, especially through COVID. But I'm so thankful to April Reeves for being the director of our preschool right now, and all the teachers who are making it more beautiful all the time. Yeah, so most of all, I want to thank all of you for giving me a place to grow up. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's enough of that. We're going to pray together here, okay? So we just fall into our hearts and we open the divine circuits right now. And we connect with the power and the wisdom and the joy beyond our wildest dreams. And we allow that to move through us. There's a healing power right now that is alive in every cell of our body, each of us. No matter what we may be facing, we're not alone. I give thanks for that power. I give thanks for this amazing place and this amazing teaching. How it continues to be a lighthouse, continues to shine its light in the world. So this is the perfect time. I give thanks for it. I give thanks for each one of you, for the difference that you make in the world. We are blessed beyond measure. Thank you, Spirit. So it is. Amen.